What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's always a huge thanks for coming back. We really appreciate you. So today we're jumping back on the OBS Dually F350 build, and it's gonna be a pretty exciting day for a lot of you guys because we're not working with the axles today, but we are installing a Super Duty gearbox, and this is an upgrade that I highly recommend to anyone doing all 5 plus axles. And we're first gonna go through all the upgrades that you get by going to this box, and why I say that I think it's a good upgrade. So let's jump right into it. First of all, let's talk about what box this is. And for beginners, this is just a cheap rebuild that I bought on Amazon for like 250 bucks, I think. So the box that I have on my single cab is also an 05 plus gearbox. That one I got it used off of eBay from like a junkyard, and it's been doing great. Well, it's not too great. I think we gotta replace it, but it's lasted a long time. So I'm hoping that I can get away with this. That'll be at least decent for at least a year or two. But what it is an 05 through early 08 box. That's the year range that you want to stay in for this swap, for everything to be as easy and simple as possible for the swap. You can use the newer gearboxes, but they require a little bit more work because the your input shaft over here doesn't match the OBS. So you're gonna have to do some modifications to your steering shaft for it to fit the gearbox. Otherwise, this is the simplest, easiest way to swap to the newer gearboxes. Now that we know what it is and what you want to buy, again, the 05 through early 08. 08 was a half year. You could get the early 08 had this splined shaft, while the later 08 and newer, they have just a I believe it's a smooth body shaft with just a couple of flat spots on it, if I remember correctly. Now, the biggest advantage, in my opinion, that you gain by going to this box is a much larger shaft on this thing. Like, this thing is massive compared to that shaft, and we have a pair of calipers, and I want to get a couple of measurements to compare them. So the Super Duty, you're at about 1.916". On the OBS, you're at about 1.25". So that's a huge difference from the OBS to the Super Duty. And why this matters is that it's essentially a stronger shaft that's not going to break. So if you have a lifted truck with the big Pitman arm, drop Pitman arm, a lot of times those can break this completely off your gearbox. So by going to a much larger shaft like the Super Duty box has, it's going to reduce that chance of anything happening, anything going wrong with it. So again, very worthwhile upgrade. The second upgrade you get, and in my opinion is almost as important, is that you can actually utilize the full log-to-log turning radius of the new Super Duty axles. If you don't know, the Super Duty axles, they can actually turn a lot sharper than your OBS axles. But your OBS gearbox can't take full advantage of that tighter turning radius. But the Super Duty, again, you'll go stop to stop on the axles, full lock to lock, which honestly makes a huge difference. Now, unfortunately, even this box probably is not going to get me lock to lock on those F350 axles, because those things turn very tight. To do that, I would have to jump to the F350, F550 gearbox, which is a even bigger improvement over this and a lot larger, but that actually takes a lot of fab work to get it to fit in the frame. The bolt pattern isn't the same. It's larger, so you have to notch the cross member, the frame. Again, it's a lot of fab work to get it to work, and in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. This being a simple swap, it's basically bolt-in. You have to make the holes on the frame larger, and then you have to get a new hose, which I am hoping that this works. When I did it on my single cab, I remember buying an off-the-shelf hose, and it worked. But that truck has also the Super Duty steering pump in it. This one doesn't. So again, like I said, I'm really hoping that hose will work. If not, we're gonna be stuck in the water for a little bit. And the last upgrade that I guess I want to talk about is the hardware. These are the bolts holding your OBS gearbox to the frame. These are the bolts holding your Super Duty gearbox to the frame. These are M14. I believe these are M12. As you might be able to see, that's a pretty decent upgrade in size. So again, just more secure. You know, I don't think I've ever heard someone snapping these bolts off the frame. But again, I'll feel safer just having larger hardware. And by the way, these are M14 by 2.5, I believe, 140 mil long. That's what you want to buy for this, because the stock bolts for this box are actually too short for the OBS frame. So you want to get slightly longer ones. And the I keep saying that. And the final upgrade that you get by going from the OBS box to the Super Duty box is that you can use stock Pitman arms. With the OBS gearbox, you have to buy, or you have to rim out your OBS Pitman arm to accept the drag link on the Super Duty axles, because it's a larger size. And again, it's something that you can't just buy off the shelf. You have to either get it through us, through someone else, or rim out your own Pitman arm. With this gearbox, again, it's going to be an off-the-shelf part. So in case for whatever reason, if you ever break your Pitman arm, or if you go from a stock truck to a lifted truck and you want to get a Pitman arm, you can just buy any drop Pitman arm that will, work with your lift. So again, there's a lot of reasons why I recommend people go to the Super Duty gearboxes. And again, that's enough talking. That's, in my opinion, all the upgrades that you get from going from the OBS box to the Super Duty gearbox. And now I'm going to show you how to actually install said gearbox in the frame. And we start by enlarging our frame holes so that they fit the 7/16 hardware. Sorry, the M14 hardware. We already have one of the bolts installed in the frame, but as you can see, the other two are still not gonna work. But it's a very simple process. It's as easy as just drilling out the holes with I forget what this is. So this is a 37/64 drill bit that I got to drill out these holes. But yeah, all you got to do is just take a drill bit, drill out your holes, make sure you don't snap your wrist. That's very important. And that's it. Other than that, you can just bolt up your gearbox after that. Okay guys, and just like that, we've got all three holes drilled out on the frame, and then we went ahead and resprayed this section where the gearbox is gonna go. And then I think once we have the gearbox installed and everything, we're probably gonna throw another coat of paint, just because these black oxide bolts, they will rust up on you pretty quick. So I'll probably throw another coat of paint over that. And by the way, these are grade 10.9 bolts. You always, if you're gonna be using metric, pretty much anything on your suspension, you want to use grade 10.9. But yeah, now that we have the holes, everything looking good, I'm gonna grab the gearbox, slap it on the frame, and then we'll move on to hooking up the lines, which we're really hoping will fit, as well as the steering shaft. So wish me luck. Okay, so first step is done. We've got the actual box on the frame, and it was pretty easy. It's definitely a little bit tight back there, but we get it in. Nothing's interfering, so we're good to go. The next step is going to be actually connecting the steering shaft to the actual box, and then hooking up the low pressure line and the high pressure line. The low pressure line should just bolt right in. They're the same thread pitch, I believe. When I was doing all the testing, it seemed like the low pressure line was going to bolt right up. The high pressure line is the one that I bought. Now, from the research that I did and everything before I did this swap on this truck, I believe the line that I bought should be from the Hydro Boost to the high pressure line on the pump. But like I said, it should be the same pitch and everything to bolt up to this steering pump, if any of that makes any sense. But yeah, I'll show you the lines and everything here in a little bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and hook up that steering shaft to the gearbox. Okay guys, so this here is the what I believe is the high pressure hose. We're hoping that it's all gonna match up, but what I'm gonna use is a high pressure hose. This is the one that came out of the OBS, and we've got this kind of interesting looking fitting. And I tried going to my local hydraulic shop, and they said that they couldn't get anything to match this power steering specific fitting. So again, like I said, I started doing a lot of research because I didn't remember what I did on my last truck. And like I said, I found this hose, which I believe this is the part number, just for reference. That's the hose that I got, the part number. But I believe this goes from the Hydro Boost to the gearbox, and I'm really hoping that this fits. So we're gonna go ahead, try it on the truck, and I'll let you guys know how it works. Okay guys, so I believe we're done with this install, and it's actually a pretty simple, straightforward install, I believe, but it is super hot in the shop, and so you guys can sort of hear me. I turned off the AC, and I just got drenched in sweat, so I'm disgusting. But anyways, there's really not much of a difference that you guys can actually see, but we've got the new gearbox in there. Again, like I said, I kind of threw a second coat of paint on the frame just because I left everything super smudged and whatnot. But like I said, the return hose, which is that first hose, this one right there, that bolted right up. That's the completely stock OBS return hose. The pressure hose, which is the one that I showed you, seemed like it threaded perfectly into the gearbox and onto the pump. The only problem that I will have with it is that I'm gonna have to figure out a way to zip tie it out of the way of the steering shaft and kind of far away from the engine, but that should be pretty simple. I need to drill some holes into the liner and attach it to that, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm gonna show you from the engine bay. Sorry I didn't record all of this, but honestly there's not much to see and there's not a lot of room to see it. But anyways, you can obviously see the brand new hose right there that just bolts up to the side of the gearbox where the old line was in. And again, like I said, it's a little bit close to the engine and to that gearbox, but nothing a couple of zip ties can't fix. Oh, and before I forget, a couple of pro tips to make your life easier while doing this install. Do it before you install your new coil buckets, because as you can see, you have plenty of room right now without the coil buckets or anything in the way. Once you install your coil buckets, they will take up all of this space right here, so it'll leave you with very little room to work. And tip number 2, when you're installing your lines, install the high pressure line first, which is this back one, and then install your low pressure line, just so that you have more room to tie in that high pressure line. And then again, like I said, your low pressure line should be last. Now the next couple steps from this would be connecting it to your axles, and then just filling it up with fluid and purging the system, which is as easy as, again, like I said, fill it up and off your reservoir, then turning your tires from side to side several times, refilling your reservoir until all the air bleeds out of the system and the fluid level stops dropping on your reservoir. And again, I am a huge fan of this upgrade. Every single personal truck that I swap to Super Duty axles, I'll probably be upgrading to this gearbox. One last benefit that I guess I forgot to mention is that, and don't quote me on this because I'm not 113% sure about this, but I believe the Super Duty box is a better, quicker ratio, meaning that you'll have less turns from lock to lock from the Super Duty. So again, if you're backing up a trailer or stuff like that, or parking into a tight parking spot, you'll have to turn the steering wheel less times to get from lock to lock. on the Super Duty gearbox than you would on the OBS gearbox. But again, guys, super easy install. If I wasn't recording any of this, it'd probably take me 30 minutes to an hour max from start to finish. One thing that I did want to talk about is on the video where I was taking all the suspension and the gearbox and everything off of the OBS, and I started mentioning that I was having problems taking off the Pitman arm. I got some comments saying that I didn't know how to take off a Pitman arm, this and that. Of course, I know that there's plenty of ways to take off a stock Pitman arm, like using a torch, cutting the Pitman arm off, all of that. But one thing that you guys have to realize is that I run a business where I'm doing this to customers' trucks. So the reason why I didn't use a torch, I didn't use heat, I didn't cut it off, is because if the Pitman arm ever gets stuck like that on a customer's truck, I want to be able to have a plan to be able to take them off while doing no damage to the OBS gearbox, to the customer's gearbox. So I don't want to use heat and damage seals or stuff like that inside the gearbox. I don't want to cut it off and damage the sector shaft on the gearbox. So again, what I wanted to do is come up with a plan for the easiest and most effective way to take off that Pitman arm. And what we ended up doing is removing the gearbox from the frame, and then we took it to the biggest vice grip we have, vice clamp, to the biggest clamp we have, which happens to be that red one. We clamped the Pitman arm puller with the gearbox to the clamp, and then we took it off, and that gave it enough pressure to hold on to the Pitman arm and pull it off. Again, would it have been easier using heat or cutting it off? I don't know, maybe, probably. But again, if this problem ever happens again with the customer's truck, I don't want to take that risk of, again, damaging the truck, damaging the gearbox, anything like that. So for me, it was a lot easier, especially knowing that I was most likely going to end up swapping boxes anyways, just taking it off the frame, doing that on the bench. And like I said, it was super easy. So really not that big of a deal. Anyways, before we leave, I want to update you guys on a couple of things that we are doing in the shop with our buddies from TSW. We have been working for months now, developing the best, as you can see, this is all of our R&D, but the best coil buckets for the F-150s and Raptors. And I truly believe that Cody and I came up with the best coil buckets for these trucks. Actually, last week we installed the first set on his truck. I don't think I've shown you guys this truck on the channel. What is it, bud? And these are the coil buckets that we came up with. They're, like I said, already installed on the truck, and these things are super beefy. They won't come apart on you, and as you can see, I mean, they'll fit pretty much any coilover that you want in there without any modifications. They also install super easy. They just slide into place. They are well done. And over the next couple of weeks, my buddy Cody is going to be torture testing them on his truck. This dude really sends it, so he's going to be jumping the truck, just hauling butt through the desert on this thing, just really stress testing these coil buckets. And hopefully pretty soon they will be on our website and on his website. And again, if you guys have any Raptors and you want to upgrade your coil buckets, or if you have an F-150 and you want to do a Raptor swap, TSW Arizona, my buddy Cody, he's the guy to talk to. If you have a regular F-150 and you want to Raptor swap it, he is definitely the guy to talk to. And obviously he is here in Arizona, but just like me, people send him trucks from all over the place to swap. So it's definitely something worth looking into if that's what you're into. Again, we are super excited about that. Another product that we are working on is a updated, revised version of our soy bar brackets. We are pretty much done with them, but I'll have more info on those in a little bit. And again, the next video, you guys should, and the next video should be of us installing the front end on the dually. That beautiful, incredibly beefy F350 axles. Little sneak peek. But yeah, all of that's going to be going under the truck for the next video, and we are super excited about that. Again, we are just so happy with the way that this kit turned out. Again, like I said, for your coil buckets, You only got to drill 2 holes per side, which is the same thing as on the 4x4 trucks. You only got to drill 2 holes per side on the coil buckets. The radius arms, you're gonna have 1 hole that bolts up perfectly at the bottom that locates the brackets, and then on top, on each side, you'll have to drill enlarge 2 holes that already line up to the coil buckets, and drill 3 brand new holes. Again, we are super excited. The 2-wheel drive kit. So, I guess I didn't mention it, but this is a 2-wheel drive OBS. Until now, we didn't make a kit, and as far as I know, nobody made a kit dedicated to the 2-wheel drive OBS trucks to do the 05 Plus axle swap. You always had to get the kit that we made, that was meant for that was built around the 4-wheel drive F350 and F350s, and make it work on your truck, take measurements and all that stuff. With this kit, again, you're gonna have all the existing holes already on the frame for you to just grab your brackets and mount them on the frame. We're just so excited about it. We are so excited. And again, like I said, that kit is now live on the website. When you go to either the 0-3 or the 4-7 kit, there's a drop-down menu for 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. Choose what option you want, add it to the cart, and you're good to go. But yeah, guys, we will be back next week with the final install of the front axle on this truck. So if you are excited, leave a like. If you have any questions, any suggestions, if you notice that I did anything bad on this install or wrong, let me know. Then yeah, guys, we'll see you for the next one.